I'm going to do something I haven't really done that much in the recent time and modify a ship from the workshop. Oh, this one is a good one. So the story behind this one is the original is by Case Crazy, then Simonti modified it into this, and now we're going to modify this one. Now the modifications, looking from just the description, include, let's see, additional life support functions, increased, not additional. Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's a survival kit here. A few thrusters removed. I think the weapons seem to be changed. Yeah. I'll say it's much shinier. We will be changing the paint job completely to Sher Industrial yellow. Amazing. And also we'll rip out all of the DLC blocks. Because why not? Let's see. What functionality do we want for this thing, actually? What does it have in terms of components right now? Everything is very nicely organized here into the groups. He has an antenna, he has a camera, that's good. He has some basic atmospheric thrust and hydrogen. And even ion. Huh. Where is all the ions? Ion? Hello? Ion thrust? Is it internal somewhere? Or am I just blind? Oh, there they are. Purely for looks, I'm guessing. or maybe not. Let's see. A lot of small batteries. This doesn't seem very efficient. Let's see, let's start cutting it. Big tank. Let's see here, what is this? Auto HT generator. Fires, a lot of small thrusters. Okay, I need to think what to do with it. Okay, while I was digging, I found some internal hidden atmospheric thrusters. Let's see, what's the damage range on those? Using build info. Will they actually be fine in there, or do they start frying through the components? It looks like it will be fine, but still, that's a very interesting choice. We have them internally. Only a small connector here. I wonder if we can jam a survival kit into this, because it seems to be like a very high distance exploration craft, and you would want to have a survival kit on this type of a ship. Because it's not like a miner where you just fly 1 kilometer around the base, drilling deposits. This one you just fly away, like maybe go from space to the planet and back. Oop. Even has some ice in it. Yeah, there's just a lot of components of all sorts in it, it seems like. Modifying a ship is much more harder than I thought, but here it's not really just surface modification. We will be building an entirely new ship just in the similar frame at this point. Alright, I didn't notice a big change where they just ripped out a lot of stuff on the top. And I'm guessing on the bottom as well, because I just checked the block stats, and somehow the updated version is 3 times less block. Has 3 times less blocks. And this one... Huh. I'm guessing there's actually projectors in here. Massively inflating the... Yeah, one of them. I do wonder what inflates its block count by 3 times here. There was one projector, but I'm not seeing the second one. Is the projector projecting a blueprint of the projection with the projector turned on? So it's I have no idea how it counts the block number for blueprints. On further inspection, there seem to be some pistons in the sink. Oh, retractable landing gear. That's pretty cool. That's pretty nice. Ooh. Yeah, we'll be getting rid of those. Like, I'm using this sink. Yep, there's no retractable landing gear here as well. Wait, if this one doesn't have a large hydro tank, how many tanks does it have? Oh my. Does it have any tanks? Are they renamed? There's a lot of... Wait. Don't tell me. Okay, this is crazy. It's literally just has an O2 H2 generator and that's it. The original is just purely decorative, it seems like. I don't see how you would use this in survival. And it overloads on power as well. What? This is crazy. Again, no wonder it looked so sleek, because there's literally nothing inside. Oh my god, this is very funny. Also, there's no atmospheric thrust on the original version. I see. But there is ion. So yeah, the ions are purely decorative. Because the whole original grid is purely decorative. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. It's just a very specific type of build that I don't usually do. I mostly focus on practical thingies. So, changing something like this, it's quite a job. Quite interesting. Let's see. I guess we'll be ripping out the ion thrust fully because we want this thing to be very budget. Very budget. Very cheap. We will put the hydrogen as the main thrust. It doesn't have much upward thrust. Okay, yeah, that's another thing. We need main thrust direction to be upward, so we can lift up on gravity. So we'll need 2 of these going up. How much does this thing weigh, by the way? What's the weight on this? 36 tons. Oh, yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, it can barely hover with the hydrogen thrust it has. It needs atmospherics. There. Properly fly the atmosphere. Okay, here's a little bit of a detour on my thrust philosophy. The main thrust direction is upwards, because, first of all, it's you have to fight against gravity, and then you do maneuvers by tilting your ship. So it's more realistic, kinda, but it's more practical as well, because you can either easily speed up, brake, or just maneuver. Also, it can act like an airplane, because in order to change direction, you roll the ship and glide along the trajectory. Because if you just have forward thrust, you can't really stop, and it's hard to change directions. Plus, going forward really fast is not practical in combat either. In combat, you want to orbit around your target at your what's it? Maximum engagement range, pretty much. Minimize the amount of damage to you. And in order to change trajectory, you roll your ship while going upwards. So, yeah. Now, there is, if you want to have fun, you can have a lot of forward thrust. I think I have a ship like that somewhere. That I did for fun. If you have a lot of forward thrust, you can just change your trajectory due to the insane amount of thrust the ship has. It just cancels out all other momentum in other directions due to how the game engine works a lot faster. So ideally you just want to have one main thrust direction, upwards. You use it for main maneuvers. And then you have the small thrusters in all other sides for smaller movements or just as dampers to not drift around. And that saves you on ship size and the mass and materials and everything. So it's closer to how it's done in real life as well. With spaceships. A lot of spaceships, actually, in media just take a lot of creative liberties, and they act more like airplanes than spaceships. With the way they maneuver, just magically making turns without any thrust. Now, in Star Wars universe, it's explained by them having some sort of technological thingy that creates space drag, so they can fly like planes in space. But in places like Elite Dangerous, for example, which is... you have a lot of forward thrust, but then you somehow can hover in 10G with just tiny holes poking out of your ship's bottom. It's very funny. I like how the parachutes are covered up by armor. They will probably still work, but it's very funny. Okay, so we will place an auto H2 generator here as an adapter from the cockpit to the tank. And then on the end of the tank, I'm guessing we'll attach a survival kit. Because it will allow us to rotate it. Removing the ion thrust also frees up space here, exactly for that. Yeah, at this point I will just create an entirely new ship, and then I will have to recreate how it looks from the outside, because I'm removing so many parts of just all varieties. Like that. It fits. It fits in the original layout. Somehow. Somewhat. We'll also need onboard power generation for emergencies. Let's see, what's the hydrogen production of the Twitch generator? 100 liters per second. Build-info really helps a lot with stats like this. And by stats like this, I mean literally everything technical in the game that makes the ship fly. Playing without build-info is like playing Kerbal Space Program without Delta V shown. I don't know, you might get to the moon or you might not. 500 kiloliters. Okay, So refueling one of these, it's purely just an emergency measure. Let's see the engine consumption. Oh, my toolbars are a mess. 50 liters per second. Huh. Yeah, so we can easily power 2 of these. But the power output is also emergency. 500 kilowatts. Like half a megawatt. Barely enough to power. Yeah, it's not enough to power even one of these small thrusters. And it would need a few of these to properly fly. So again, emergency measure. Just for life support. Oh, what did I just press? Weird. Purely for life support and oxygen generation. We'll rip out all the small batteries. Again, also having a lot of small components on the ship makes it very hard to service and repair, because it's much easier to weld a few big components instead of lots of small ones. Unless you're using a printer, then it doesn't matter. Plus, the bigger components are just more efficient in terms of cost, mass, just size, compared to their function. Everything, really. Let's see. If we place the thrusters directly, yes, they will stick out, but we can work it into the design, I guess. Man, it will really not be slick like this one. At the start, it will have more of a diamond shape looking from the back. Let's see. I wonder if we can do something strange and just directly attach the small thrusters to the big ones. And have them be inset. Oh, in fact, is there a conveyor connection on the front of this? Yes. Okay, we can do something really funny and just have one thruster in every direction. For just basic maneuvering. Now this is what they call cost effectiveness. I don't know why I find it so funny. It should not be. But we are just taking what they did to this one too. The logical, well, maybe not extreme, because the extreme would be ripping away all the plating and just having purely components flying around. But we are taking it further along the development pipeline. Oh, it should not be this funny. We'll only need one small oxygen tank. Yeah, thankfully we got those. I remember days when we needed to attach big oxygen tanks to our small grid exploration ships. I think I even have some of those. Yeah, let's see. This one is probably before that. Where's the oxygen tank? Yes, it's Chongus back here. This is, by the way, an atmospheric ion hybrid. If you have enough ion thrust, you can easily go back and forward from any planet. It's mostly possible on small grids, because I'm not sure, so don't take my word for it, but I think the mass to thrust is more efficient on small grids for thrusters. Plus all other components way less. With large grids, it's still possible, but it will just cost you a lot more. And will not be very very, very economical because of the platinum cost in the iron thrusters. It's a lot. So wait a second. Oh yeah, these ships are backwards. Their pivot point is backwards. We'll need to fix that. Yep. Oh, and it's also crazy offset. Okay, you can really see how they built the ship by the pivot point. I'm guessing they started... They might have built it not in space, but on the planet. So how they started is by just placing a landing gear and then making a pillar up to the ship. I'm guessing that's the approach they took. Yeah. And... Where is... Is it right below the cockpit? I'm guessing they went up, placed the cockpit, and then expanded stuff from the cockpit. That's my investigation conclusion. I am not sure if it's true, but it's what I came up with. The visibility is not very good from the cockpit, huh? We'll need to clear up all of that and rework the front. Because what's the point of having a small ship if the visibility is bad? You want to see where you're flying and also nice canyons you will be maneuvering in. I'm experimenting some more. I decided to put 2 large atmospheric thrusters into it. By the way, the vanilla large atmospheric thrusters for the small grid are not symmetrical in all directions. As you can see, there's exposed piping on the one side, and the top of it is slightly tilted. So it kinda, if you put them like this, it adds a nice tilt to the top of it. And then large connector, because why not? It's nice in the front, will make docking probably easier. And it's a little bit extended from the thrusters, so you don't fry the landing pad. It definitely makes the ship look a little bit more strange and a lot less flat. But we can work around it. Then again, one not the smallest atmospheric thruster, but one of these. Yes, atmospheric thrusters in every direction. They have similar output to the hydrogen ones. So it will have very similar flight characteristics on both hydrogen and atmospheric thrust. And you can enable hydrogen thrust in atmosphere for more power. Let's see, where should we place these ones? Probably somewhere near the bottom. Let's see. As an additional challenge, I want to attach all components to each other directly, so you can just weld only the core of functional stuff, and then decorative armor plating you can just skip if you want that sort of experience. Let's see, in terms of batteries, we will need at least 2 of these batteries. There's some empty space back here, so we'll place them here. It fits nicely. Also, we'll leave a lot of functional stuff more or less exposed, because it gives me less work to do. Also allows you to maintain the ship easier, and it also exposes. It adds more detail than just having armor everywhere. Yeah. There is still a bunch of empty space left in the wings. I'm thinking maybe we could actually double the O2H2 generators and have 4 engines on it for power generation. Then it will allow it to somewhat hover in atmosphere, even on just the power generation. Since it won't allow maximum output, but it will allow it to hover. By the way, what's the fuel consumption on the large hydro thrusters? 385 liters per second. Yeah, and it would also allow it to hover on. Wait, no, it wouldn't. What's the thrust? It's less thrust than the atmospheric engine. So it would be more efficient to generate power from fuel in atmosphere. Yeah, looking at this. Because two of these operating of 2H2 generators would allow one hydrogen engine to operate at half power, 240 kilonewtons. But then if we convert it into electricity with engines, we can have 4 of them from one with 2H2 generator. If we get 2 megawatts, it would allow one of these atmospheric thrusters to operate at 80% power, which would be kind of similar to one full hydrogen engine. So almost, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. Actually, in fact, let me just pull out my calculator. 576 multiply 0.8. Actually, no, it wouldn't be 0.8. Just 1 second. Okay, I think we do 576. We divide. Oh, what happened? Reset. 576 divided by 24 and multiply it by 20 or 80. Literally. Literally one hydrogen thruster. So kind of like almost doubles the efficiency. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now the problem with it is we could just have the engines on it and have the tank as additional power storage, pretty much. In fact, I would need to calculate how much you would be able to generate power from a single tank. But then, let's see, if you do mine ice, what's the consumption of this? Only 5 per second on all these O2H2 generators. Okay, I think the multiplication for ores, volume, 2.7. Yeah, we could have like 5 tons of ice just sitting in here, and it would allow generation for us out like 10 minutes, I guess. Around that. Again, the numbers are very approximate because I'm just calculating on the fly. Would definitely add a lot more functionality to it, that's for sure. Do we want a cryo chamber on this thing? I don't think it will fit anywhere nicely. And I don't think it will be that important for a ship of this size. It would only be important if you're flying on the servers and if you want to log off without dying. Yeah, it doesn't really fit. I guess we can fit it onto the back if you really wanted to. It would also function as an additional seat. Where we will attach the thruster zone for hydrogen. I mean, we can attach it if you want to flex the functionality. We can do that. Okay, I calculated 4 of these from a single full tank would be able to power the grid with 2 megawatts for like 40 minutes or something like that. A pretty decent range extension. But again, it's not full grid power. Also, you would want to have, like, really a lot more atmospheric thrust than you would need just by the blank numbers, because it changes with air density. Luckily, the power consumption falls with air density as well. So the power consumption is, for some reason, corresponds to the effective thrust produced. Like, you would think in lower air densities it would still need consume the same amount of power to produce less thrust, because it would need to work just as hard, but there's less air available, so it wouldn't be able to propel as much of it. But no, if it can't produce as much thrust, then it will just consume less power. So that's interesting. Yeah, I think I might be getting carried away, because now I'm trying to think about a way to add the turret and the drill to the sink. You know, just for that little bit more functionality. What were we going to do with it again? This version already would be better than this functionally, but I just want to see how much more stuff can I add onto it. It would be easier to slap on an autocannon turret. It's smaller, but the Gatling turret is just more practical against bug and meteor defense. Just small intruders, smaller threats. Just more practical, you know. Oh, actually, it's nice. This cockpit has sideways connectors. You can attach a gun directly onto it. At this point, I'm just going to try and build the functional core from scratch, just to see what I can do. Oh, we might... This tiny project might take quite a bit of time. Yeah, originally, I thought about this as a fun little diversion from other stuff, but now, oh boy. Now it has occupied my interest completely. We might make the upgrade asymmetrical, honestly. That's one of the way we can... One of the things we can do. Maybe a drill, maybe a little bit more cargo, you know, just for that trading, and to hold all the ice we get somewhere. Oh no! Oh, what is this thing going to be? Honestly, I think we could just release multiple great versions. We could have one that's just for flying around, and then one that's very funny and very strange. Because if we just keep it lightweight, it will still have a high range. And it will be much cheaper, because all of these components do add quite a bit of mass. And I think we just want it to be a ship made for flying. Perhaps. So just bare minimum. Let's go that way, because a little bit more, and then we'll just end up with something a lot bigger than we initially started with, and spend a lot more time on it. Let's just finish this version, the basic stuff, and then we might think about upgrading it into something crazier. For the hell of it. In fact, we'll change to the smaller connector here. Let's actually. I never tried out using the small connectors. I never tried out using them. Let's try to connect to something. Will it connect to big connectors, I wonder? Let's take one of my old blueprints. Let's see. Will you connect? Look, even with one thruster in every direction, still plenty of thrust for maneuvers. Hello? How do we... Small connector, switch lock. Can... Oh, so much thrust upward. Can we lock? Oh, there's no gyroscope, I forgot to add one. Now let's just place it temporarily here. A small connector doesn't work. Oh, you need a small connector for the large grid. Yeah, no. We'll need to keep the large connector if you want this thing to be compatible with most normal builds. Can we put it somewhere it's not, you know, in the way? I think we can work it into the shape. Whatever. Whatever, man. Whatever. So there will be some big changes. After all. And we'll keep only a single gun. Because who needs two guns? Well, not the ship. That's for sure. We could add... It was a little bit difficult to control the ship. With the amount of upward thrust it has, so I think we could add a single small thruster at the bottom. And just, even the smallest press just makes it go so high. So we'll do this. Add small thruster at the bottom, and an option to disable the big ones. Now you can just maneuver in thrust. Or just slow docking maneuvers. The thruster will cook whatever landing pad you're landing on if it's not disabled. So watch out for that. Alright. I'm building some more stuff. Landing gear, auto lock off. Engine, we might move it here. Fill this gap here. I think it looks nicer. Air vent to suck oxygen from the atmosphere if needed. Oxygen tank. I think I removed it, so we need to place it back. More detector. Again, we have some slight asymmetry here. Just for the funsies. Antenna, remote control. We'll need to have some cameras and some lights as well. We'll need a projector to weld up any damaged parts. And then we'll need to think about what we'll do with the aesthetics of it. Because there's just giant areas where there's nothing at all left in there. He really just hollowed out and compacted everything. Do we need a beacon? I don't think we do. But it would be nice to add, so we might add it. The beacons allow us to broadcaster positioned to a much higher radius than antennas, but they cannot transmit signals, so you can't control the grid through them. Yeah, 50k for antennas and 200k for beacons, 4 times. 4 times. Ooh, one thing. Any of these ships have a bottom camera? Is it just forward camera? Forward camera, yeah. Oh, how are you going to dock if you don't have a bottom camera? You can't align the ship properly. You need to have a bottom camera on your ship. You can do without cameras just fine, but it's nice to have them. They are a nice thing to have. We'll have our camera here. Actually, I wonder. Let's see. Yeah, the thruster is not in the way at all. You can see it when it's firing, but it's fine. Look at the suite. Just electronics everywhere. Yeah, the beacon, I mean not the beacon, the ore detector you want to have in front, I think, and as close to the ground as possible, so you can get a good reading on the ore, because if the ore detector is at the back of the ship, then you kinda lose some range on it, some effective range. Do we need a refill station? Respawn, no healing, no suit charge. No suit charge. Wait, really? It's pointless. It's a survival kit will do. Let's look at the looks. The looks on the second version, I really don't like this shiny skin. I used to use it like 5 years ago, but it makes the grid hard to see. It's just too shiny. The old one, I do like the sides, but I think the nose. The nose is a little bit too sharp. I think cutting it off a little bit would look nicer. The back, I think the back, like if it's split here a little bit more would be nice. I do like this gap here with the thrusters. And then they went a little bit lazy on the bottom section, I think, because it's all just flat. But I mean, there's a bunch of thrusters here. So they needed to have space for them. It kind of makes sense, but still. Yeah, I really don't like how it's just 45 degree and then it's flat. Not very smooth. You would want to have a slight, like 22 or whatever degrees this angle is, 2x1. Over here as well, so it doesn't add as abruptly, in my opinion. On my grids I like having a large amount of lights. Forward, downwards, maybe even backwards. Also cameras. Backwards, downwards, forward. Also adjust ambient light to light up everything, and of course we need to crank up the range on them. Bam, bam, maximum range, maximum fall off on the interior light intensity. We can have it below. On spotlights, everything to maximum. Will the light beam from the spotlight be annoying? I wonder. Because sometimes if the beam is below the cockpit, you can't really see the ground very well, so I often put them above the cockpit. And I think it might honestly be a better choice in this situation as well. Perhaps. Also, I put the oxygen tank over here, connected to the cockpit. Yeah, see, there's the light beam. Oh, but now we can't look up without it just shining into the cockpit. It wasn't really visible here, so maybe we could put it here actually. Perhaps. I really like this just asymmetry and having a lot of functional components everywhere. Adds a lot to the modified and industrial feel of it. Also the beacon goes here, yeah. Alright, the projector. We can also slap the projector somewhere at the bottom. Here I think is a good place for it. Let's first... yeah, the ship is backwards, so... Yeah. Yep. And here's how you fix the pivot point. You place the projector, and then you paste the grid onto it. Control X, or Control C and Control V. Yep. Pivot point fixed. Very nice. Yeah, we'll keep the blunt front of it, I think, with the cockpit exposed. We'll also want to have all functional components, all functional blocks on this ship exposed for maintenance purposes. Let's see. Let's see. How would we build around it? What blocks do we have? Haven't built stuff with armor for a while. All my ships are just bare bones. No, maybe here. No, maybe here. Oh yes, yes, we want this. We don't want to have a sharp edge. We want to have a little bit of a nice flat border. So it looks more like heavy-duty industrial instead of like a knife. That's the vibe I'm going for on this remake. Yeah, I like this more. I like this a lot more. Let's touch a little bit to it as well, instead of just having a flat spot after a sharp edge. Again, I am guessing, or maybe it just looks similar, because it's a very simple shape. A big inspiration for this is a ship from Elite Dangerous, the Cobra. So we'll keep that in mind, or at least it will be an inspiration for me as well here. And we'll have a simple shape. Will almost imitate like an earlier arrow with this very simple shaping, almost a wireframe on the armor. So we'll have a nice contrast of just very greebly detailed functional components and just flat slab of metal. Flat slab of metal. Slab of metal. The hell is it called? Oh my god, I'm forgetting the word. Metal fuselage. Exterior frame. Not the frame. Oh, damn it! What is it called? I don't know. I do not remember. No, I forgot. I forgot. Plating, shell. Whatever. Whatever, man. Okay, I have been trying different shapes and also painted a little bit. Get the paint gun mod, it's very useful. You can replace individual colors and paint more precisely. I went with this deserts of rock, or as I like to call it, deserts of butt crack paint scheme. I'm trying out different shapings here. I went with something very close to the original because, well, I wanted to be kind of the, you know, still similar to the original. And not a completely different shape. The shape from the top, I really like them both. I just didn't like the nose on the original, and from the side the nose just looks kinda just, and it's flat here. Kinda ugly, I don't like it. So let's see. It's a little bit of a stub here. Maybe some antennas and funky stuff would help in the front here. But as it is now, it's pretty good as well. I think we'll just keep... We'll get to it eventually. Some thruster openings here. Should I paint them a dark color as well, maybe? Because it is dark here. I want to, you know, I'll have the paint job and stuff. Challenging myself to it. Because I want it to be similar to the original. Is there a block missing here? How's that? We could probably remove this and place another block under it, but here we can have this. Yeah, that's better, I think. What will we do in the back? Because I changed it a lot. I looked at the ship a little bit more and realized if we want to stay true to the spirit, we'll have to make all the functional blocks darker tone. Because the only thing colorful on this thing is the armor plating, everything else is just dark. So we'll do it for now like that. And I decided to expand the power capacity, so it can fly for a lot longer. Atmosphere, I think that makes sense. Plus it now occupies the space in the back. Very well. We don't have space for this fancy frame here. If you want to have this this gap, we will not be adding stuff there. Let's see, what else are we missing? Okay, they did stuff differently back here. They did stuff differently back here, so we need to do it differently as well. Alright, I did a little bit more. I moved the landing gear to the front, so that the back is kinda like, it goes back, whoop, instead of it just sticking out in the back and being silly. Let's see, what else did I do? I tried maybe adding this thing to the front. It makes it look... maybe a bit better from the top. Honestly, no. If the cockpit is dark, it doesn't really do it that much. I think I really like the cockpit without stuff in front of it. There's better view from the cockpit and the ship looks better as well. Yep, I like this more. Really makes a nice split shape at the front. Let's see, I did some more painting to imitate the ship we took stuff from. The bottom is done. I tried doing the slope much smoother, as I said. Let's see how it looks. I like this more than the 45-degree angle here. I think so. I mean, it doesn't look that bad here either. Now stay look at it again. Decisions. All the components are, well, still pretty much accessible on this grid. Everything is easy to build and repair. And the mass is lower as well than on this one, which is by a few tons. We are getting closer and closer to it being finished, I think. Right, I guess we have empty spot here that we didn't have on the other grade. Put add some armor. I think is here, perhaps. To smoothen it up. I don't know. This is all very subjective. Yeah, also more spotlights everywhere. Let there be light. Now you can see in all directions. I'm not really a big fan of sharp edges, but I don't really know how to change it properly. So we might honestly just stay with this. Yeah, we don't have the nice back shape on this thing here, sadly. The PCU is much lower also, if that matters to you. It doesn't really matter to me anymore, because I don't play on the servers. I'm not sure if this works. It's something, but I'm not a big fan of how heavy it makes the wings look. I did also add just some small slabs, plates here, along the edge. Not a big fan of how it makes this section look. Oh, this is too difficult. This is very difficult. was my problem with it again? I was looking at it for so long that I kind of forgot already. I think it looks fine. Whatever, man. Where's my gyroscope spam? I need to remove this stuff from here. You know. Where's my gyroscope spam? Modified. 7291. Where it is? I guess the name changed when I pasted in when I pasted in the projector. The Sher R delta was delta like this. Mark 3. We'll go like this. Shorten the name a bit. Yeah, R delta F009. We'll shorten the name to just R delta Mark 3. There's a bit of a gap here. Could patch it up. Like this, perhaps? Yeah. Let's see. Oh, this has been way more of an adventure than I thought. I've been at this for 3 hours already. Oh wow. Went by much faster than I expected. 3 hours is not that much for a good blueprint, but still. More times than just a fun little excursion. Into shipbuilding territory. Integrate the thrusters a bit better, or does they look fine? They kinda blend in with the rest of stuff, so... If you start sloping the armor to fit in with them, it will just make the rest of the ship look even more chunky. We'll just settle for this, I think. I'm trying not to use any of these sharper corners, because I think the seam of the whole ship is just using this 45 degree smooth blocks. So I'm trying to use them everywhere. For it to be consistent. Let's see. I think this one is painted with... This looks like just normal armor, and then there's some carbon fibers that we can't use. But let's see what can be repainted with. Let's see. Normal armor can be just normal armor. Clean. Replace. 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 And the dark stuff, let's see. Corrugated maybe? It's a lot darker than carbon fiber. Camouflage. Very silly. Is Rusty? Yeah, Rusty is not a DLC armor. What else do we have? That's not DLC. Clean. Actually, let's check buttered. It would make sense for darker spots to be more buttered, maybe. Let's check out the whole ship and buttered, actually. No, I don't like the repeating texture on it. You don't really use buttered with normal blocks, but then again, I don't like the repeating texture here either. Crazy, but I do like the velvetless look. I do like the velvetless look. Whoops. That will affect stuff. I do like the velvetless look. And it's vanilla, no DLC as well. Let's see, do we go velvetless all the way, or do we go velvetless and buttered combination? We could also go... How does carbon fiber look? Kinda stinky. Gaps too visible. Ooh, you know, this kinda looks like... Why is my mouse vibrating? Come on. This kinda looks like heat shield tiles. Yeah, I kinda like that. Actually, I wonder... change this to buttered as well, and then... Where's that? Space shuttle look. Boring. Boring. And then this white tile would be closer to that. It looks pretty good, actually. Again, I prefer to have colors. Black and white was 5 years ago. Yeah, nice. But I do like how colorful the original is. We'll keep it colorful in 4 colors. To stay consistent. Decisions. it doesn't look so bad either. You know, I'm getting used to things a lot quicker than I really thought. Yeah, this doesn't look that bad. It looks pretty good actually. Let's see, what if we go for no skin? Make it a little bit worn down. What if we make it really worn down? Ooh, that is nasty. What if we make the functional stuff nasty? It's set out in the desert sand for too long. This is what you get. But like the wear pattern is literally the same on every block with normal armor, so it might as well just have it picked in. Because then it looks very strange when every block just is damaged in the same way. Is it also the case with spattered? Yeah, it is, but there is enough variety that you don't really notice it. What the hell? Should we get the blinking lights on it? The blinkers. I feel like it's too distracting. But we could, in order to stay true to the spirit of it. Yeah, actually, I want to see how does the original look with its nose cut off. Because it's one of my biggest problems with how it looks. If you smoothen it up a little bit. I mean, it looks fine with it and it cut off. But if we cut off just a little bit, just the tip. And then we slope it down with the rest of the ship, actually, instead of having this awkward duck nose. Damn. I think that's much better, actually, in my opinion. Again, we don't have this panel here because it obstructs the visibility. We have moved it one block back. But even on the original, I think this is much better than having this nose where it's kind of like just flattens out. You want to be consistent with your shaping. Either you go crazy insane, sicko mode, like I did with these ships 5 years ago. Well, it wasn't 5 years ago, it was like 4. Maybe it was 5. It was a long time ago. You go crazy or you go very, very, very continuously smooth. That is my personal way to do stuff. Okay, it's completely unrelated, but you can actually make the pistons go like this. It looks really funny. It's like it has legs. It's like a creature of some sort. For consistency's sake, I changed these blocks here to this. So it's consistent with the shape of the rest of the blocks I used on the ship. It doesn't really matter that much visually, but just for the challenge. I want to keep it very, 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 very consistent. It wasn't really a theme on the original ship because they used a bunch of different blocks at the bottom here. Yeah. But I kinda want to be like the whole ship is just these types of blocks everywhere. Oh, by the way, they set up the blinking lights not that well here. You would want them to have minimum radius, minimum fall-off, and max intensity. So they just shine. Actually, do they shine even with, let's see, flash intensity 0. Yeah, they do. 0.1 intensity. And how does this one look? Maybe there is a point to having some range on them. So they illuminate around them a bit. I'm not sure now. Also, I started looking at signal light schemes for spacecraft, especially. I found on Wiki that the Cygnus spacecraft for ISS resupplies. I think, right? What is Cygnus? Cygnus uncrewed cargo spacecraft for ISS, yes. Red here, green here, and then yellow on the bottom, and all of them are flashing. Didn't make them flash just yet. Let's see. I wonder what flashing interval should we go for. Like 1 second. We can just copy the stuff up there. It's 1.2 seconds and the blink length is 30%. Let's go to the dark side of the horrible news. I just noticed that I had my OBS pause recording hotkey. Why did my spotlights just blink? What? Hello? What was that? Anyway, I just noticed that I had my OBS pause recording hotkey to the button to change to spectator camera. Oh boy. There will be some pretty messed up clips, I'm guessing. I will have to look over a lot of stuff. It's annoying. Well, I rarely switch to spectator camera. Which it shouldn't affect my survival series that much. When I'm in survival, it would affect it sometimes when I show stuff in creative prototyping, but only sometimes. For this one, I flew over to Pertam maybe a few times. It shouldn't be that much footage lost. Ooh, that is annoying. The stats seem to be 2 hours of cruising on just atmospheric thrust in Pertam's gravity. That's pretty good. If you don't do any maneuvers, of course. It's much less maneuverable now that there are salt atmospheric thrusters, but still pretty maneuverable. And that's on Pertam, with its low atmospheric density in most places and high gravity. Yeah, I don't know, I think it's, in terms of building, pretty much finished. I just need to stop the stuff in the console, in the terminal. I did not add a parachute to it. Maybe I should add one somewhere. But honestly, I think we can skip that. It is very, very, very unnecessary. It really is quite fun to fly. Okay, yeah, it definitely looks much better than if you went with all yellow. All yellow works best when you just have a bunch of basic components. But for armor, it just makes it look like a block of cheese. Especially with battered armor. This is why I don't build like this. It takes so much time. But it is fun. Yeah, I've spent 4 hours already. A bit of them was flying around, but this is very nice. I should set up the control panel and then publish it, I guess, because I don't know. Is there anything else I can add? I don't want to add a parachute. There's no more slots for the parachute to be placed. Alright, final comparison before I stop the control panel. From the top I think it looks very nice with all the exposed functional components at the back. And I do like the front that's cut off. That's pretty good. From the back, it is missing the line of thrusters, so it's a bit of a minus. But it still looks pretty decent. Heavy industrial. From the side, I didn't position it very well for the side comparison. Well, from the side, it's a little bit more chunky in the front, but I think it's fine. From the bottom. Oh, from the bottom. Not bad. Similar to how it looks from the top. And from the front. It is quite fat. But the survival version is also quite fat, so this one is just even fatter. The thrusters to make it quite chunky. Why is it still shiny? Oh, is it silver? What? Clean armor. No. Is it? Oh, it's just pure black. I see. That's why. That's why I can't see it very well. It's just pure black. I have to see retrofuture stuff. I have to say, retrofuture stuff is very hard to see. Just all reflective. Yes. Very shiny. Is it still recognizably a modification of the ship? I would say absolutely. I have kept the shape of armor very, very similar. Alright, I've set up the control stuff. Oh, I think one thing you should do also is... okay, we can't select everything. We need to not select the antenna for this for some reason. And then we can show block in terminal off, toolbar config off. That way. Yep, there we go. All clear. Some stuff you want to be visible, like the antenna, I guess. You want to have some stuff visible. What stuff that you don't want to touch ever, like lights or the ore detector. Projector you want to touch. Remote control. You also probably want to touch. Yeah, we haven't set up the remote control. Cameras you want to be visible. Terminal toolbar config. Okay, basically everything that's not needed to be accessed from the panel and not needed to be configured on the hotbar can be hidden. The setup is scan, cameras, docking stuff, engine, stockpile, power and fuel. Then we have some thrust overrides for cruise control, origin management, big ones and small ones. Turn on off the V2H2 generator, oxygen stockpile, light, turn on off side, front, signal lights, front light. Yep. Antenna, beacon, projector, just everything, just in case. Remote control, I don't want to add all of it, I just added the first page, and that's enough. A little bit more stuff. I switched the tanks to auto-refill any bottles inside of them. By the way, it's nice to have your tanks accessible, so you can put bottles in them, because bottles can only go through big conveyors, so you either want to have a big conveyor connection to it, like from this royal kit to this tank. I don't know why it's red. Why are you red? Hello? Tank? What's going on? Huh? Why was the tank off? What the hell? What? When did I do that? Hmm? Huh? Okay, well, that was weird. It was the tank off. Anyway. Let's just turn it on and save the blueprint. Engine is off, yes, that makes sense. So it wouldn't use the fuel. Again, this is fill, yes. This is not on-off. Strange. I also added a ladder back here. Entirely optional, but it can help you get up on the ship to access the survival kit a little bit easier. Also, I changed the material for this white stripe to, well, less armor to match the looks of the original ship. Here's, by the way, a variant with the original paint scheme. Yeah, this is just the core of the ship. Again, we attached all functional components to each other, so you can easily just build this without any armor and it will function. If you're interested in the PCU and mass difference between the grids, without armor 27 tons, 1500 PCU, with armor 2000 PCU, and 33.5 tons. So 6.5 tons heavier. Not that much. These wings are pretty much hollow. Yeah, there's one block gap in them. So yeah, I don't really know what much I can do that's major here. Some smaller tweaks probably somewhere eventually, but I think I should just publish it. Links will be in the description to all the blueprints. And yeah, if you want anything improved, upgraded, maybe some blueprint ideas to modify, send them all in all the comment sections. Just any channel you can reach me through. And I will consider. Also modify the ship version even further. It would be really fun if we just flood the workshop with modifications of this model.